Superman, Spider-Man, Iron Man. What do these three have in common save for having the word man in their names? They're all fake as hell, unlike real-life superhero Phoenix Jones. Welcome to Under the Ice. Phoenix Jones was one of the very few to adorn the title of being a real-life superhero. And I don't mean in like a philosophical kind sense. I mean if you go to this man's Wikipedia, that's his official title. For those not familiar with the oh-so-popular Seattle superhero scene, Phoenix Jones was a man who gained international notoriety for his crime-fighting efforts in the Pacific Northwest Seattle area. As someone living only a few hours away, it surprised me that I only heard about this guy for the first time last year. In 2011, Phoenix Jones burst onto the crime-fighting scene, donning his iconic yellow and black costume and cape, taking to the streets to fight crime. His actions earned both fans and critics, with some calling him a hero, while others called him a vigilante, with his actions being commonly discouraged by local law enforcement, frightened that others might start risking their lives in the pursuit of vigilante justice. Now that we have a vague outline of who Phoenix Jones is, we should be asking the real questions. Who is the man behind the mask, and why exactly did he choose to become a superhero? Well, you'd be surprised to learn that Jones, born Benjamin John Francis Fodor, never really read comic books growing up. Despite not having many friends, Fodor apparently was struck with a sense of justice from a very early age. Now, pre-crime fighting era, Phoenix Jones had his car broken into, with his son injuring himself on the broken glass, and though there were plenty of witnesses around, no one reported the crime or tried to stop the perpetrator. Jones credits this, along with the assault of his friend outside of a pub in downtown Seattle, to be what spurred his sense of justice. Now, while some might not consider this the epic backstory a superhero deserves, he soon developed full crime-fighting garb, donning a bulletproof vest with stab plating, a stun baton, pepper spray, handcuffs, along with some tight spandex. Going on to serve a decade-long tenure from 2011, rumored to be as active as late as 2020, Jones would stop several actual crimes in true Batman-like fashion. He would go on to stop several break-ins, car thieves, fights, and even drunk drivers from entering our roadways. But he didn't escape quite consequence-free. Jones had suffered multiple injuries in his line of duty. He had been stabbed with a knife while attempting to intervene with drug dealers, and in 2011, he had his nose broken by a hefty kick during his attempt to break up an armed fight between two men. And while I won't be showing much of the footage here due to the fear of getting my videos age restricted or breaking YouTube guidelines in any way, it's pretty easy to find footage of the various fights through most media outlets or a few simple Google searches. Now, it was becoming clear to see that Phoenix Jones couldn't serve his full tenure without a few grease stains on his black cape. In 2011, he was the perpetrator of a few pepper spray incidents. Like, incidents with an S. According to the real-life superheroes wiki, Jones was accused of using pepper spray on a group of men and women in May of 2011. Though this would usually constitute grounds for an assault charge, he managed to avoid any and all charges at the time. Now, hold on, I should clarify while editing here that although he wasn't charged with any assault charges, he was arrested for the crime, during which he was forced to unmask for the first time to public, thus revealing his identity. Alright, we can continue. In September of the same year, Phoenix had doused a man in pepper spray after attempting to steal a bus. The hijacker made his escape and was later apprehended after his skin had been dyed orange from the pepper spray. It's not exactly Batman-like behavior, but it gets the job done, and that's more than most of us would be willing to do to right the wrongs of others. The next year, Phoenix would go on to accuse a man of harassing people on the street. After police arrived, Phoenix Jones and the heavily intoxicated man engaged in mutual combat. A crazy law in Seattle in which, with a few stipulations, two people can legally engage in a brawl, with the police essentially acting as referees. The video went viral, popularizing Jones in the eyes of the media. He landed a few killer kicks as he was practically trained in martial arts, and the drunken assailant clearly had no idea what he was getting himself into. You can actually find ex-MMA commentator and professional monkey weed man Joe Rogan reacting to the footage online and providing some pretty colorful narration in which he praises Phoenix for his form. Now, despite his long tenure, Phoenix Jones' activity actually began to taper off in the past few years, retiring officially in 2019. Fodor made an appearance on the Northwest Nerd podcast, saying,
"I'm not saying I'm never going to fight another crime. I'm just saying I don't do you anything anymore. I don't feel like I owe people anything anymore. I used to feel like because I have this power, it was my duty to use it, but it's not."
Clearly, he began to resent Seattle for its inability to change. He cited the fact that crime rates kept on popping up as his reason for quitting. And while his heart was in the right place, you can't expect crime rates to drop to zero just because there's some dude in a mask with pepper spray out there who may or may not beat you up. Fodor would go on to reemerge into the public eye under unfortunate circumstances in 2020 when detectives caught word that he had actually been dealing out narcotics in downtown Seattle for God knows how long. Fodor, now 31 years old, as well as his girlfriend Andrea, were arrested in January of 2020 and released from jail 2 days later, pending further investigation. Another 2 days later, Fodor was charged with 2 counts of violation against the VUCSA, or the Uniform Controlled Substance Act. While his girlfriend Andrea was tagged with 1 charge, the first charge was for apparently selling ecstasy to an undercover agent in November, and the second charge being for selling cocaine that month to what Fodor thought was a group of women looking to party for a friend's birthday at some local hotel. This gave the detectives all they needed, and Fodor and his girlfriend Andrea were both arrested shortly after the operation. Now, the funniest part about this whole thing is the text messages exchanged by Fodor and the detective a few days before meeting at the hotel, during which Fodor gave Laura his full name and encouraged her to Google him. It's obvious that his ego was somewhat tied up in the fame, as Laura responded,
"Oh my god, I just Googled you. Superheroes are you really a superhero?"
And this set off absolutely zero red flags in his mind. The hypocrisy and double life of Fodor was made clear during his arrest, with him discouraging drug use and dealing just a few years earlier, telling dealers to sell somewhere else. Apparently, he just wanted the Seattle real estate to himself. Fodor was scheduled for sentencing in February of that year, and although he was criminally indicted on all charges, I'm actually struggling to find any record of how long he's actually serving. Regardless, with that bittersweet ending, thus concludes the journey of Phoenix Jones so far. From a deeply troubled man respected by fellow crime fighters and feared by the criminal underworld, to a man who fell from the light after committing the same self-serving crimes he spoke so openly against, Benjamin Fodor will go down in history for better or for worse. Thanks for watching. It's been a while since I've actually posted anything other than my music, but I still really enjoy the process of content creation in my free time. This one ended up being a lot more polished than some of my other videos, and I hope to set that standard as I continue to upload. Please feel free to like and follow down below. This early on in the YouTube journey, every subscriber means a ton to me. Do you have any strong feelings about Phoenix Jones and his crime-fighting career? Drop a comment and tell me what you thought. I'm Dub, and this has been Under the Ice. Have a wonderful night, and don't catch a cold.